What's going on, people? Alex Thorn here, and welcome to a brand new series on this channel. I'm calling it Versus for right now. We'll see what it develops into over time. But I've been wanting to do this for a while, where I take the original and the remake and compare them. But there's going to be a little bit of difference of how I compare these movies versus maybe what others may do. And the reason I think I'm taking a fresh take on it is because I want to compare how the story was delivered, which movie delivered it better, which movie actually did better effects, and which movie had better characters. Because in watching the first subject of this first video in the series, The Omen, I noticed a lot of things. And there's a huge gap between the original and the remake. I mean, we're talking about 1976 and 2006. That is a huge gap of time. So many things develop, from cameras to the way we light movies, to the way special effects are done, the way people look, and our expectations develop over time. This particular movie that we're talking about today, series, The Omen, came right after The Exorcist. So it was right on the heels of that. The slasher had not been particularly born yet, but possession was hot because of The Exorcist. And with that being said, I have never actually seen The Omen until I watched the first Omen trailer right here on this channel. So at this very point, as I'm speaking about these two movies, I have still not watched Omen 2, 3, and 4, which I'm going to do. We're going to do a ranking of all of them, including after the first Omen gets watched and reviewed. But as of right now, let's start the first episode of Versus. The Omen 1976 versus The Omen 2006. Post-edit Thorn here. I got to take a break from Bandana Thorn, but I totally forgot to film the portion of this video where I'm giving you The Omen. This is a really cool special edition of the original Omen, and I want to give it to you guys. And it's even got, I'm a kind of a nerd when it comes to this stuff, but it even has the insert in there. So all you got to do to win this, regardless of how many people comment or view this video, is 1, you got to be subscribed. 2, you gotta like the video. 3, in the comment section, tell me which is your favorite. The Omen, the original, or Omen the remake, which is what we're talking about here. All right, back to Bandana Thorn. Right away, let's give you a synopsis of what The Omen is overall, if you're not clued into what it is. And it is about an American diplomat, Robert Thorn, who adopts Damien Thorn when his wife, Catherine, delivers a stillborn child. After Damien's first nanny hangs herself, Father Brennan warns Robert that Damien will kill Catherine's unborn child. Shortly afterwards, Brennan dies and Catherine miscarriages when Damien pushes her off a balcony. As more people around Damien die, Robert investigates Damien's background and realizes his adopted son may indeed be the Antichrist. So with all that being said, that's the groundwork for what we're talking about today. And right off the bat, I want to talk about Damien Thorn. In 1976, played by Harvey Spencer Stevens. 2006, played by Seamus Davy Fitzpatrick. And honestly, I think the kid in both does a good job, but there is genuinely something creepy about the 1976 Damien Thorn version. There's something void in his eyes, as if he really got what he was supposed to do. I know it's kind of crazy. You know, how do you train somebody to be the Antichrist? But what this movie does is they do so many close-up shots of the eyes to compensate, right? This was still developing. Like, we're not at that age where people really figured out how to do this so well yet. But they're doing a lot of close-ups of the eyes. And the connection that Damien Thorn, the actor, has in the original with the dog that shows up in this, which is really, you know, a major player with no words, which is crazy. I feel like that kid got it more than the kid who was being played, who played Damien Thorn in the 2006 version. I'm going to give Damien Thorn of the 1976 original Omen a bandana on this because he got what he was supposed to do. Next up, character-wise, somebody that really stood apart from both versions to me was the photographer. The photographer in the 1976 version versus 2006, he really seemed to get what he was doing. And I like the storytelling of how he slowly figured out what was going on, because almost instantly in the remake, the photographer is instantly noticing blemishes on his photo and trying to figure out what it is, which is just not true. You're going to notice something, you're going to be like, is that physical damage or did that just happen? Whatever. And let it go until you see it over and over and over again. The first time this happens, the original photographer in the movie does not even realize there's something wrong. It isn't until the second death that he continues to now notice, wait a minute, I have pictures of these people and there's something weird going on, because there's like this shadow effect on the photos that shows you how that person's going to die. A very Final Destination type of thing. And I feel like the way they told the story of the photographer figuring out what was going on in the original 1976 version was way more convincing than the fast-paced way that the new photographer in the 2006 remake got it. So another bandana is going to go to the 1976 version of The Omen. The next character I wanted to actually focus on is the wife. In the original 1976 version, it's played by an actress named Lee Remake. And in the 2006 version, it's played by Julia Stiles. Now look, I have nothing against Julia Stiles whatsoever, but I know her face, and every time I've seen her in a movie from that era, that early to mid 2000s era, there's just nothing that pops off the screen about her. As opposed to the original actress Lee, who portrayed Catherine Thorn, she was very classy. And in the new one, Julia just seems very spoiled. There's something very, not unlikable about her, but just like, I don't feel for you. You don't pop off the screen. I don't care for you. And every time you have a complaint, you just seem like you're whiny. One came off classy and one came off as spoiled. So one more bandana is going to go to the original 1976 version of The Omen. Next, we're going to focus on the babysitter. And the babysitter in this, both versions, original and remake, they nailed the role. This one was really hard to figure out which one I wanted to go with, because in the end, I felt like both women that portrayed the babysitter portrayed their connection with Damien really well, their delusion about who they were and what they're doing really well, and they have these crazy eyes, and when they get demented in this movie, you buy that this person is truly demented. I was going to side with 1976, but then I remembered there were genuine moments when they zoomed in on the face that stuck with me till the next day in the remake. So I'm going to call this a tie. Both the original and the remake are going to get a bandana for the babysitter. Finally, we have Robert Thorn, who in the original is played by Gregory Peck, and in the new one, the remake, is played by Liev Schreiber. Once again, Gregory Peck comes off very prestigious, very stoic. He nails his role almost too well, to the point where I don't even feel his emotion for his wife. And in the new one, Liev almost feels like he's just doing this movie quickly. Don't know how to explain it, but he doesn't feel fully invested in the movie. So I have issues with both sides. If I have to go with one, I'll go with the original, but I truthfully think that they both are the weakest links of both movies. So no bandanas are going to be given for the role of Robert Thorn. Finally, I want to focus on which movie delivered the story clearer and better. Right away, I'm going to give you the answer to that, and that's the original 1976 version. And the reason for that, which is crazy, because they both have the same runtime and almost shot for shot are the same, with the exception of 2 kills in the movie. But for some odd reason, the original played out right on time. It just felt right. And it could be because I watched it first, have no idea. But watching the second one, it felt rushed. There were moments that were changed outside of the kills, pretty much for safety reasons, I'm sure, because you just do things differently. There's a genuine nature about the original, and there's a disconnect and a rush, almost like a montage of scenes in the remake. So I gotta give the final bandana to the 1976 original version. Guys, with all that being said, the winner in original versus remake is going to be the 1976 original Omen. Nothing against, crudely against, the remake. This is one of those rare cases where it's not so much better than, and it's not, oh my God, it's so much terrible than. It's actually almost the same, but for some reason doesn't carry the same magic as the original. The original edges it out mainly by acting and storytelling. Okay, just back one more time to remind you guys, if you're still watching the video, giveaway of the original Omen special edition DVD. This is the one that I watched. All right, plus it has the insert. All you gotta do is be subscribed, like the video, and comment which is your favorite, the original Omen or the 2006 remake. All right, guys, thanks. Guys, let me know, what are your thoughts on the original Omen versus the remake? Have you ever even seen the remake? Because I've looked at comments where people have said, I have wanted to watch it, but I can't because I feel like it's going to ruin the original. It won't. It's almost shot for shot the original. You might as well stick with the original. But for the purposes of this video and this series, I really wanted to finally watch an original and a remake back to back, which is hard for me to do, to sit there for 4 hours. Let me know what suggestions you have for this series as I continue to watch the Omen 2, 3, and 4, the first Omen, and do a final ranking video. Let me know what other original versus remakes you'd like to see on this channel. I'm Alex Thorn. You know what I gotta do. I gotta go rock out so I can watch some movies and review them for you.